Welcome to driving an SATX. Coming down this hill, I have strategically chosen this lane in advance because I'm planning on turning red at the light up ahead. See, this is better than driving with no strategy and being in the left lane when you realize how close you are, and then cutting someone off to get into the right lane because you fail to properly prepare yourself. Even worse, because you're distracted by your phone. Enter this Nissan Sentra. This Nissan Sentra also needs to turn right up ahead. Now, some of you are going to want to debate me and say maybe she was lost and wasn't sure where she was going. Seriously, people get upset when they present this argument. But watch this video and pay attention to the breakdown. Then you can argue with logic rather than adolescent anger. So here's what I see in this that makes me think she's fully aware of where she is and where she needs to go. She comes into frame driving a good bit faster than I am, as if she wants to overtake me, which I wouldn't have a problem with as long as she does so safely. But it seems that window closed quicker than she anticipated because this pickup pulled out into her lane as she was approaching. Rather than simply brake to slow down, she hits the brakes and immediately moves to her plan B, which was to come over and turn on her signal at the same time, as opposed to turning her signal on and making sure it was safe to move over, or even give someone like me a chance to see the signal and slow down to give her room to get in. Again, this is something I would do because, as frustrating as it can be, it's a much safer option than any alternatives, like say speed up out of spite, because someone who drives like this isn't going to allow your speeding up to discourage them. It will only challenge them, and the danger escalates quickly, and it's not worth what can happen. No, she just comes over as she signaled without any regard, and of course has to hit the brakes because there was not enough room to do what she just did. As I pass her, I wish again that I had cameras facing sideways, which is coming soon, by the way, so you can see that she was holding a phone in her hand as she was driving. This next driver just seemed to be a jerk for no reason. I'm in the right lane again as I need to turn right up ahead. This red Cadillac was driving a little slower than desired, but I don't see a reason to waste fuel and stomp on the gas just to jump around this one driver and then make my turn. I also allowed for proper space for the speed we were going. I don't think I gave the driver any reason to be a jerk, so that may not be the case. But if not, why the hell would you damn near stop with all this space left when I'm behind you with my turn signal on and I need to get over here? There's always the distracted driver theory, as in the driver couldn't wait to look down at the phone and stop too soon. Either way, get the hell off the road with this nonsense. On this access road, I'm sitting in a long line waiting for the light. At the intersection up ahead, under normal circumstances, this lane over here is a turnaround lane. This one is a left turn only. This one that we are in is a left turn or go straight, and the lane on the right is a right turn only. The reason that this line is so long and there are no cars in this lane is because there are big orange barrels blocking this lane, making our lane the only one that allows cars to turn left. They are difficult to see on this video, but I was able to spot those barrels from back here. That makes it clear that this is why this line is so long. At least it's clear for those of us that are paying attention while driving. But then there are, of course, drivers who are either not paying attention to the blatantly obvious, or they thought it would be cool to disregard this long line and try to cut ahead of everyone that has been patiently or not so patiently waiting their turn. I'll be courteous for the sake of safety, otherwise, best of luck to you. To start this next one off, I would like to show you this particular sign. You may or may not have seen this one before, but it's going to be included in this next example. Now I'd like to introduce our subject. This truck, which apparently represents a local roofing company that has social media, is the subject of which I speak. This truck is doing nothing wrong here, but we move ahead to a particular intersection where the sign I showed you is posted. See, this lane is becoming a turn only, unless, of course, you're driving a bus. It does not say accept vehicles in a hurry. It doesn't say except when a car is turning in your lane. It doesn't say except when you don't feel like moving over. It doesn't even say except impatient, selfish, childish, asshole drivers. No, the only one exception listed on the posted sign is buses. I've mentioned before how it seems to be a trend that big lifted trucks are usually being driven like shit. Before you get me all wrong and try to pick a fight in the comments, I'm not saying every driver who has a truck like this drives like an idiot. I'm just saying I would venture to say it happens enough to be considered a pattern when compared to other size and types of vehicles. But let's take a look at what I'm saying with this truck here. As our subject enters the frame here, you can see by looking at these tires that it's coming into this lane from the first lane. Now, maybe it's hard to see, but I'm not able to make out a blinker for this change, but we move on. As the lane change is completed, we see signs of distraction or inebriation as the truck moves through the lane and starts riding the right line with his passenger side tires. Then, not corrects, but overcorrects as the truck pretty much gets halfway back into the left lane. Then he decides to legally move back into the left lane with a slightly late blinker and comes really close to hitting that wall, but almost as if to challenge the wall, stays right on the line for just a bit. The truck then moves across the highway and takes the exit. This had potential to end very badly. I hope for everyone's sake, especially the surrounding innocent drivers, that this truck made it safely to its destination and stayed for the day. Drinking and driving is not worth it, people, and neither is looking at your phone while you drive. As you can tell, they both look the same on the road, and we can't even tell for sure which one it is. Heading north on 35 toward New Braunfels, this stretch of 35 can get frustrating because there's so much traffic on a regular basis and it's only 3 lanes wide. It's pretty common for cars to bunch up in the passing lane as they're all trying to pass everyone, but that can't happen with only 1 passing lane. So even though we're all still passing the rest of traffic, some drivers are not satisfied with the progress on the highway. Like this truck. This truck gets so impatient that he decides to try to make his way around in the slow lanes. Now, let me tell you, this might work sometimes, but more often than not, this is what's going to happen when you try this. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Maybe he moved over because he needed the next exit. And maybe he did. But if that was the only reason, I don't think he would have sped up as soon as he hit this lane. He would have just been happy with being positioned to take the exit. As I'm passing through downtown here, these vehicles entered the highway just before the exit to 35 North. Now I do know that this entrance is used by plenty of out-of-towners who are leaving downtown, and I realize they might not be familiar with this area. But for that reason, we have these big giant signs. As soon as this vehicle gets in, his headlights hit the very reflective sign over the highway that's larger than any of the vehicles in this shot that tells all drivers that this is the lane for 35 North. See, the only flaw to this warning system is you have to read the damn signs to know what they are telling you. Now, as his headlights light up the first sign, he actually moves out of the lane that's going to 35 North. He drives past the giant markings on the ground and then a giant sign. We then get to the point of the double solid lines. See, back here, the difference between these stripes and these stripes over here is that these are like last call at the bar. When you see these, the opportunity to move into this lane will soon be no more. Once it turns into this, moving into this lane is now a violation. You can get a citation for this, but this is when the driver happens to see the sign. Lucky for him, it was the last warning for 35 North. He then hits the brakes, which was not needed here, and moves over, committing the violation despite the fact that he had plenty of room and time to do this correctly. And of course, here is another driver just driving around wasting brakes. Now, to be fair to the brake waster in the last video, the driver did claim their Mustang and gave a reason for the braking. It was fair enough that I'm removing them from the archives, but there is never a shortage of this, so here we go. I'm coming down the interchange from 410 to I-10, and I have to move over to get out of the exit lanes. As I move over behind these vehicles, they both hit the brakes. It was puzzling in the moment, and I was very confused as to what was causing this, because I could see before I started my move that there were no vehicles ahead of them. I make my way around just to still be confused. If someone would comment every time and actually explain to me what the point of this is, I would love it, but I don't think that's going to happen very often. I mean, look at this shot right here. There's no rhyme or reason for this. Even if they are getting off at anticipated stopping at the light, it's way the hell over here. And they have a long exit ramp with plenty of access road to slow down. This was just nonsense. And, yep, now I've had enough for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Till next time, stay safe on the road, San Antonio.